Hey there, it's CJ Willie and I'm cracking a pack. Today I have an Ikoria pack, Lair of Behemoths. So I'm pretty excited about this. Tomorrow, myself and three of my friends, our play group, so the four of us, are going to finally be able to bust our booster box and draft. So every set that comes out, the four of us get together, we chip in some money, we get a booster box, we do 3 rounds of draft, we keep the records, and then at the end of the draft, based upon how the records were, we take all the rares and mythic rares, put them into a pile, and then we do a draft based upon how we finished. So whoever finished first gets first pick, second, third, fourth, etc. It's pretty fun. Like I said, we've been doing it. I think myself and one of the other friends looked at it, and we've been doing it for 25 booster boxes. So that's been a pretty fun kind of tradition that we've got going. So in preparation for that, tomorrow I'm going to crack this pack of Ikoria. So what am I looking for? I am hoping to get a mythic or one of the new tri-lands. I'd also like to get maybe one of the companions. In the uncommon slot, I really want to get either a Heartless Act or a Parcel Beast. I think that those would be pretty cool cards to get. So let's zoom in maybe just a little bit more. And as I go through this pack, I'm going to be going through it more from maybe a limited standpoint, draft. I don't do sealed as much as I used to. So in preparation for tomorrow's draft, I'll go through these cards and just kind of give my viewpoint. As a reminder, I'm a very casual Magic the Gathering player. The play group, we don't spend a ton of money on cards. Basically, we play with the rares or mythic rares that we open and build decks around them and have a really kind of fun format. All right, first card that we have is Gopher Blood. It's 2 mana, 1 and a red. It's a sorcery. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control, and then it has cycling of 1 generic. So I think this is a pretty good utility card, especially in red, a way to maybe get rid of one of your opponent's creatures. The one thing I like and what I've started to see and just kind of reviewing some of the cards in the set and playing a little, cycling is definitely a really powerful format. White-red cycling is probably where it's at. That might be where I go in one of the draft rounds. Next card we have is Spontaneous Flight, 3 mana, 2 and a white. It's an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Put a flying counter on it. I really like Spontaneous Flight. It's a great combat trick. The other thing that it does is if you target, a pretty cool creature, it's going to get a flying counter, and then that creature has, some pretty good evasion. So I really like it in a combat-oriented deck, and it seems like the red-white cycling deck is kind of the perfect spot for it. Maybe blue-white flyers, but definitely red-white cycling. Next, we have Wingfold Terran. 6 mana, 5 and a blue. It's a dinosaur. It's a 3/6. When Wingfold Terran enters the battlefield with your choice of a flying counter or a hexproof counter on it. So I've been able to play with this a little bit. What I'm finding is the hexproof side of it is pretty good. There is a lot of destroy target creature effects running around there. So putting a 3/6 on the ground with hexproof has stonewalled quite a few opponents. And in a pinch, if you need to get it up in the air and say it's a flyer, not too bad. Tentative Connection, 4 mana, 3 and a red. It's a sorcery. This spell costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with menace. Gain control of target creature until end of turn, and tap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. So this card has wrecked me a few times in just kind of the smaller drafts that I've done with some of my friends. Red has a really good ability to have menace. Black also gets a little bit of menace. So it's not uncommon to have this be played for a single red mana and steal your creature and just kind of beat face. So it's a card that, kind of has to have the right circumstances, but if you've got menace, it works out pretty well. Almighty Brushwag, single green. It's a Brushwag, a 1/1, has trample. You can pay 4 mana, 3 and a green. Almighty Brushwag gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Yeah, this creature's no joke either. It seems that some of the format, unless you're really running into an aggressive red-white cycling deck, format goes a little bit longer, and Almighty Brushwag does some work. I mean, it becomes a 4/4 trampler with any other sort of combat tricks. I have been able to play it a couple of times where I had 8 mana up and, basically made it a 7/7 trampler. So, kind of a greater sandworm, if you will. Next card is Durable Coil Bug. It's 2 mana, 1 and a black instant. It's insect. I can't say that. It's a 2/2. You can pay 5 mana, 4 and a black, return durable coil bug from your graveyard to your hand. This hasn't impressed me too much. Typically, you know, maybe in the later game, if you've got a lot of mana and you can invest, you know, 7 mana into it to play a 2/2. But I think there's a lot of other things that, you know, you can definitely invest your mana in that are quite a bit better than the durable coil bug. Okay, next common we have is Cloud Piercer. 5 mana, 4 and a red. It's a dinosaur. It's a 5/4. You can also mutate it for 4 mana, 3 and a red. It has a reach, and whenever this creature mutates, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So a little bit of the rummaging ability. I haven't had really any experience with this card whatsoever. It seems that playing mutate for 4 mana and being able to rummage could be a great, you know, ability. Giving the creature reach, more than likely, you know, you would probably mutate, you know, like Cloud Piercer onto durable coil bug. So you've got, you know, a 5/4 reach, and you've rummaged. Not really having too much experience. It doesn't quite fit into the cycling red-white deck, but it can be a creature that can shut down flyers. So we'll see what tomorrow yields and if I'm able to play with it and have an idea about what it can do. Coordinated Charge is 5 mana, 4 and a white. It's an instant. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn, cycling 2 generic mana. I don't know about this. This is a lot of mana to just give creatures +2/+1. Even if you're going wide, I find that even in Ikoria, if you're going wide, sure, you're going to get in some incremental damage, but the problem is on the other side, by the time you get to turn 5, they've probably got 2 or 3 creatures that are easily going to block and kill your creatures. Giving it cycling maybe helps, but I don't know. I really haven't seen much of this card being played, and it seems like it's a pretty cuttable card in Limited. Next, we have a really cool showcase art of Migratory Greathorn, 4 mana, 3 and a green. It's a beast at 3/4. You can mutate it for 3 mana, 2 and a green. Whenever this creature mutates, search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. I like this effect. 3 mana that mutates, you know, and gets you a land is definitely going to help you mana ramp. I've played this once, and it was a pretty cool ability. I was able to mutate it onto a smaller creature right on turn 3, grab myself another land, and go into turn 4 with 5 mana. So I thought that this was a pretty cool card, and I'll probably look forward to playing it if I'm in a green-based deck. Okay, next card is Gloom Pangolin, 3 mana, 2 and a black. It's a Nightmare Pangolin. I suppose they're Nightmare Pangolins. It's a 1/5. So here's what I found about Nightmare Pangolin. It can really stonewall some aggressive decks. You know, on turn 3 you play a 1/5, and a lot of the creatures that are attacking you in on those aggressive decks have a butt of 1, and it basically stops them. I did try it where I had a couple of these in my deck, so it was like a silver blue-black deck. The problem was I never got to the point of drawing and playing them because I was playing against a red-white cycling deck, and, you know, I lost pretty quickly. But I could see where this can stonewall some of the aggressive decks and buy you time later on to pull some, you know, blue-black shenanigans, maybe some black-green shenanigans. First uncommon is Migration Path. It's 4 mana, 3 and a green. It's a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. Cycling of 2. So this basically replaces Explosive Vegetations, I think, is a better card, though I can't recall off the top of my head if Explosive Vegetations lets you grab something other than basic lands. I'll have to check that out. But if it's very similar to Explosive Vegetations, Migration Path is much better, because if you're in the point to where you don't need those lands, usually you're going to, because you're going to be in some sort of mana ramping deck. You can cycle it for 2 generic and go and grab yourself maybe a card that will help you out. The worst that could happen is, you know, you play it and then you end up getting, you know, you cycle into a land card. All right, next uncommon is Boneyard Lurker. It's 4 mana, 2 generic, 1 black, 1 green. It's a Nightmare Beast. You can mutate it for 2 generic and then hybrid Golgari. Whenever this creature mutates, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So very similar to some of the creatures that we've seen recently, like, you know, a Gravedigger. There was a card, let's see, in the Theros set, Acolyte of Affliction, I think, that did something similar. So, you know, this one is a little bit bigger because it's a 4/4 versus, I think, a 3/4 and a 2/3. So Golgari Finebroker was a 3/4, and Acolyte of Affliction was 2/3. I did play with this once. I was able to mutate it a couple of times. Unfortunately, the permanent card that I was grabbing from my graveyard was kind of lackluster, so I'm hopefully looking forward to playing it in a green-black build where I can grab something really important, get it into my hand, and play it the next turn. But I do like the ability of the card. Okay, our final uncommon is Sanctuary Smasher. It's 6 mana, 4 and 2 red. It's a Rhino Beast. It's a 6/4. It has first strike. You can cycle it for 3 mana, 2 and a red. When you cycle Sanctuary Smasher, put a first strike counter on target creature you control. So as part of this uncommon cycle where each color has one and it specializes in their ability, this one is red, first strike. I believe white has like Vigilance, black has Menace, green has Trample, etc. Maybe black has Death Touch now that I think about it. But, it can do one of two things. You can either play a 6/4 first striker, or you can cycle it and win some combat by giving, the creature that's in combat first strike. So I haven't had an opportunity to play it, but I've had it played against me a couple times. Both times, instead of playing the creature itself, it was cycled to give a creature first strike, and it really wrecked me. So, I haven't been able to play it myself. I've just experienced it played against me, but it seems like this cycle is a pretty cool cycle of giving like Trample, first strike, Death Touch, Menace, etc. Okay, are we going to get a cool rare, mythic rare? Let's take a look at it and see what we've got. Okay, we've got a mythic. So we have Cheville, Bane of Monsters. I'm not sure how to say his first name, but he's black and a green. So for 2 mana, you get a legendary creature, Human Rogue. It's a 1/3, has Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, if your opponents control no permanents with bounty counters on them, put a bounty counter on target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Whenever a permanent opponent controls with a bounty counter on it dies, you gain 3 life and you draw a card. So it seems like in Limited, this is going to be really hard to set up. It seems that it's more of a constructed build around, which, it's cool that I've got a mythic, and it's something that I definitely like to try to build around. I haven't had any experience with it. I haven't really seen it played. I think it would be, like I said, a little bit more difficult in a limited environment to get it going. But, on turn 2, you play it. It's a Death Toucher. You choose something with a bounty counter. Maybe in black or green, you've got the ability to kill something. Maybe you've got the one-sided bite or, one-sided fight. Or maybe in black, you've got some sort of destroy creature mechanic. Because I think it's going to be relatively hard in some sort of combat to get rid of it unless you're playing combat tricks. So jury's out on this one. I'm not sure how it will fare in Limited, but I'm happy to have it because I can definitely build around it and have some fun in a Golgari based deck in Standard. Okay, and then we've got a Sweetwater Cliffs, which is a useful land in this cycle because I've found in the small amount that I've been playing, you can splash a color and it can work out. And then we've got the really cool token that shows off the companion ability. I haven't had an opportunity to play with a companion yet or build a deck around a companion. So tomorrow I'm looking forward to doing that in the box break with the playgroup. If I had to go right now with a favorite card based upon what is in this particular pack, I'm probably going to go with Boneyard Lurker. Although I don't think it had too much success for me in previous limited formats, draft formats. I've been able to use this ability quite frequently to help me out. I know when we did the box break with my playgroup, my friends, for Theros Beyond Death, I had one deck where I had 2 Acolyte of Afflictions in it. For whatever reason, it tabled, and I was able to play both. Did a ton of work. I was bringing back Grey Merchant of Asphodel, playing it again, draining and gaining life. So Boneyard Lurker, I think, is a card that's definitely going to do some work. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, please subscribe and share with others. Tell me what your favorite card or best card out of the pack was. And then, hopefully when I'm breaking my next pack of Ikoria, I can kind of give a follow-up on how was the draft in my playgroup? How did I do? Hopefully I'll win it all and get first pick and choose one of the best cards out of the box. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, hit that subscribe, share it with your friends. Until next time when I'm back cracking the next pack.